Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on automobile engineering. Today we'll discuss about the automatic transmission and specifically we'll focus on epicyclic gearbox and other semi-automatic type of transmissions. Okay, in before that we have discussed about the manual transmission consisting of sliding mesh gearbox, synchro mesh gearbox and and constant mesh gearbox. Here we'll discuss about the semi-automatic mode of transmission and automatic modes of transmission. Okay, basically these are broadly of two types. The automatic transmissions may be classified into two types: these semi-automatic and fully automatic. Okay, in the case of semi-automatic, only clutch is operated automatically, right? The driver still has to select the gears or change the gears. In case of fully automatic transmission that is employed in the modern cars, even the gears are changed automatically by a control mechanism which is actuated by the accelerator pedal only. Okay. So in fully automatic transmission, there are only two pedals, that is for braking and for accelerating. There is no system for controlling the gearboxes. Okay. In addition to that, there is a selector lever only, right? So the present day automatic transmission consists of clutches, torque converters and epicyclic gearboxes. The epicyclic gearbox and torque converter shall be discussed in detail. Okay, so we'll be discussing on this epicyclic gearbox. Automatic transmission operate basically by controlling vehicle speed and engine load. So by increasing the vehicle speed, we need to change the gears upward, whereas increasing the engine load, that requires that the change from the higher to lower gears must be done. Okay, so for the speed factor, a sensitive control unit, that may be a mechanical device, maybe a hydraulic device or a control action driven by electrical system, is of a suitable point beyond the transmission, and thus its control action becomes sensitive to vehicle speed. Okay, so we'll discuss about the epicyclic gear train. Okay, how it works. Basically we can see in this figure that is an epicyclic gearbox, and that consists of some gearing systems like this ring gear, sun gear and planet gear. Okay, so in total we can say that in case of epicyclic gearbox, 2, 3 or even 4 epicyclic or planetary gears are fitted in between. Okay, so basically we can see here in this figure that a simple gear set that has a sun gear about which the planets turn around, right? So these planet gears are carried by a carrier. Okay, these may be fitted with a carrier. Okay, and a shaft, this is fitted over a shaft. Okay, and also in mesh internally with the ring gear. So this bigger one is the ring gear, which is also called as annulus or internal gear, right? So different torque ratios, that is speed ratios or gear ratios, are obtained by making any one of the parts. Like by we can control this any one part of this particular system, like the sun gear, we can control the sun gear, the planets and the stationary annular gear. So similarly, by locking two parts with each other, a solid drive, that is direct drive, is obtained. So if we lock two parts like planet gear and ring gear, then we can obtain a direct drive, right? So this is about the epicyclic gear train. Okay, so we have seen that in case of an automatic transmission, that is basically a self shifting transmission type of motor vehicle that automatically changes the gear ratio as the vehicle moves. Okay, so in case of automatic transmission, epicyclic gear trains are employed to get various speed ratios as we have seen here. Okay, so what is the important specialty of epicyclic gear train is that as we have seen, at least one wheel not only rotates about its own axis but also rotates about some other axis. So in case of this planetary gear train, right? So automatic transmission basically use one or more compound planetary gear. Okay, okay, we have a set of planetary gears here. So these are basically, they looks like regular planetary gear set from the outside, but inside there are two sun gears and two sets of intermeshing planet gears. Okay, so there is still only one. Now we'll discuss about the overdrives. Okay, these are another means of automatic transmission. So what happens in overdrive? That basically is a device to step up the gear ratio in the car. We can step up the gear ratio. The existing gear ratios may be stepped up. Okay, so the maximum possible gears or gear ratios that we have studied so far is up to a ratio of 1 is to 1. That is, the speed of the input shaft has become equal to output shaft. So the gear ratio becomes 1 is to 1. Okay, so this is the gear ratio 1 is to 1. But by increasing the output shaft or propeller shaft speed more than the input shaft, that is by say plus n rpm. So think over it. We have a propeller shaft which is transmitting the drive from the gearbox to the rear wheel. So that is rotating at a higher speed as compared to the engine or input shaft, that is gears input shaft. Then this sort of device is known as overdrive. Okay, so we can say that in case of overdrive, the gear ratio is less than unity. So because the propeller shaft rotates at a speed higher than the engine speed. Okay, so we can say that the overdrives enables a very high cruising speed to be attained with a comparatively low engine speed. Okay, cruising speed may be higher than the engine speed. So we can say that up to 20 to 25% less engine speed may drive the engine to a higher speed. Okay, so basically this results in less wear of the engine parts and decreased vibration and noise, because engine is rotating at lower rpm, still the vehicle is moving at higher rpm. So the engine wear and noise will be less, and the frictional losses will obviously be less at lower speeds, right? So there is a saving of the fuel also. So these overdrives are generally fitted on top gear only. Okay, top gear means where the gear ratio is 1 is to 1. But in some of the automobiles, the overdrives are also fitted on gears other than the top gear, which increases the torque ratio available. It means that we can increase the torque ratio or gear ratio of all the gears available or fitted in the car. Okay, so for example, when the overdrive is fitted on top gear, third gear or second gear, then 7 forward speed or torque ratios are available. Okay, may be obtained. The overdrive may be operated either by a manual mean or by automatically at a predefined speed. Okay, so basically what is there in the overdrive? Okay, it basically consists of an epicyclic gear train that we have studied before that, in which the sun gear is free to rotate on an input shaft, while the carrier can move on splines on the input shaft. Okay, a free wheel clutch is also fitted on the input shaft splines. The output shaft is connected to the ring. So we have seen the principle of that epicyclic gearbox, and that can be employed for obtaining the speed of the output shaft or driven shaft more than the speed of the driver shaft. Okay, so this is the basically principle of overdrive. So what we have seen, it allows the engine to operate at a lower rpm for a given road speed. Okay, that we have seen. So car basically achieves a better fuel efficiency. As we have seen that the wear and tear will be less, frictional losses will be less at lower speeds, so that will increase the life of the engine. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the torque converters. Okay, these are also a part of an automatic transmission. So it basically takes place of a clutch in automobiles with an automatic transmission. So what is the meaning? So we want to replace the clutch by using an torque converter. Clutch may be replaced. Okay, so what was the function of the clutch? The function of the clutch was to transfer the drive from the engine flywheel to the propeller shaft or gearbox, right? So this function is basically solved by a torque converter. So unlike a manual clutch, it uses fluid to transmit the mechanical power from the engine to the transmission. So as we know that in case of manual clutch, what happens, there is a clutch plate that sticks with the flywheel, okay, and it transmits the power through some friction means from the flywheel to the input shaft of the gearbox. So in that case, in the case of torque converter, we do not have any clutch system as manual clutch. Instead, we have a fluid system consisting of a turbine and an impeller. So the motion of the fluid transmits the mechanical power from the engine to the transmission, right? So the fluid flywheels transmit the same torque as given by the engine to it, okay. So this is the unique feature. So as we can see here, this consists of a turbine, a stator is fitted in between, there is a flexi plate, okay, there is an input shaft coming from the engine side, okay, and impeller which is being driven, and an output shaft. So what happens, the blades of the turbine are curved. So this turbine has curved blades. So what does it mean? The fluid which enters the turbine from the outside, so this fluid enters from outside, has to change its direction before it exits the center of the turbine, okay. So this will, because the blades are curved, it has to change the direction, the fluid that enters inside it has to change the direction. So it is the directional change that causes the turbine to spin. So due to this effect, the turbine gets spinned, okay. So this motion of the or spinning of the turbine causes the fluid to change its direction. Because the blades are curved, the fluid also rotates or changes its direction, okay, right. The turbine causes the transmission to spin, which basically moves the car, okay. And we can see from this figure, the housing of the torque converter is bolted to the flywheel of the engine, so it turns at whatever speed the engine is running at, okay. So the motion of the fluid is being transmitted to the impeller part, and this in turn rotate the output shaft. So what does it mean? The fluid action is basically that rotating the output shaft, okay, or the impeller, which in turns rotate the output shaft. So can you imagine this effect? So this is an exploded view of a torque converter. Here we can see what is happening, consisting of a turbine, curved blades, the rotor, impeller, and a pump, okay. So pump is for fluid action, for pumping the fluid. So the pump inside a torque converter is a type of centrifugal pump, okay. As it spins, what happens, it as it spins, fluid is basically flows to the outside, as we have discussed earlier. So due to this motion of the fluid, a vacuum is created that draws more fluid inside the that system, okay. The fluid then enters the blades of the turbine, which is connected to the transmission. Now we'll discuss about the semi-automatic transmission. So as the name indicates, it's not fully automatic. So why? Because the clutchless manual or automated manual transmission is one where the car processor handles manipulation of the clutch automatically. But the driver has a flexibility that he can still operate the gears manually if desired. So they are generally designed using manual transmission internals, and when used in passenger cars have synchro-meshed operated helical constant mesh gear sets, okay. So this include like systems like Easytronic or Geartronic type of transmissions. So basically a dual clutch transmission uses two sets of internals which are alternatively used, each with its own clutch, so that only the clutches are used during the actual gear change. So specific type of this transmission include direct shift gearbox, okay. So there are some other types like sequential transmissions which are used which use the rotation of a drum to switch the gears. So this is a case of semi-automatic transmission. This may be operated by automatic means, or by the driver by operating the lever manually, that we have discussed in case of our synchro mesh, constant mesh, and gearboxes, right? So this has a synchronizer unit where we can operate it and run it. So the advantages of automatic and semi-automatic transmission is that if the car is in overdrive, where we are using a overdrive on a 4-speed transmission, so what will happen? With a 4-speed transmission, if we'll fit an overdrive, the transmission will automatically select the gear based on vehicle speed and throttle pedal position. So on a 4-speed, we can increase the speed of all the gears, or we can increase the speed of the top gear, as we have discussed. So if we have to move or shift the selector to a lower gear, the transmission will downshift unless the car is going too fast for the gear. So if the car is going too fast or running too at very high speed, it will wait until the car slows down and then downshift. So as we have seen that the better fuel efficiency can be attained using these epicyclic gear trains overdrives. Okay, so no loss of torque transmission from the engine to the driving wheels during gear shifts are possible using overdrives. Okay, so limitations are that the mechanical efficiency is less than the manual transmission. Okay, as we have seen, if we are using a fluid flywheel, that may not be able to transmit the torque as as similar to the manual transmission. So basically these automatic transmissions required specialized transmission fluid lubricants, which is expensive and need to be changed regularly. So it's expensive to manufacture too. So it is heavier than the conventional manual transmission gearbox. It has